Hello everyone. So today I was looking at various posts on the community, Atlassian community. Not only posts, of course, I'm talking about the questions that people ask, and I noticed that of course, because I'm making this point every day to spend some time on the community. I try to answer at least one question because I think consistency is the key. And I always say that if you want to learn about Atlassian tools, if you want to maybe um, keep yourself up to date, then Atlassian community is a really good place because not only you can see various updates here, but also what kind of questions people are asking. You will probably find and notice a trend. Now, when I look at the questions that people send me, so by the way, I try to read or just go through the questions or comments or the support tickets that people raise for me. And also, when I was looking at the community posts, I noticed that, I mean, I may sound rude when I say this, but I have to say this by the way. So the thing is that I don't really think people do their homework before asking questions. I mean, it is okay to ask questions. To be honest, asking question is definitely a good step. But when I read these questions, and I was also noticing that majority of the questions these days, or in fact for a long time, they go unanswered, and I can tell you why. I mean, from my perspective. So usually people who spend time here, people who basically devote some time here, like maybe community leaders, usually they are professionals, they are busy. It's like a voluntary thing. It's not even a voluntary thing. People do it whenever they want to, whenever they can. I of course try to answer at least one question every day, which is of course I think in a way good thing because I do it for myself. I also of course give back to the community, and majority of the questions are unanswered because I think many people don't really want to spend maybe time answering questions that have been answered before. In fact, a lot of those questions are similar. For example, of course, I don't really want to pick a specific question because it will be a bit. I don't really want to upset people, but if you look here, things like how to apply conditional logic, whatever, if based on the epic name, I guess, how to convert Jira response into HTML, and let me also take a look at disable function copy board, um, and also take a look at check if attachments displayed on page, roadmap partially grayed out, how to get latest pipeline. So without picking up any of these questions, I think majority of these questions, if you just do a Google search, you will find the answer, guaranteed, 100%. And I know that people, of course, do their research. I mean, I think so. I mean, whenever you're stuck with something, uh, try to search online, try to search on Google, try to search on whatever search engine that you're using. And in most cases, you will get an answer. And this is also a bit sad, or I should say challenging for people like me, because nobody wants to repeat themselves. I know to ask, sometimes a question can be slightly different based on the context. The question can be slightly different based on the specific use case that they want to implement. But roughly, I think in most cases, you will most likely get an answer because Atlassian tools, Jira, Confluence, Bitbucket, Script Runner, and plenty of other apps, people have been using these tools for more. I think it has been 20 years, right? And if you talk about the community, I think community has been active, quite active for the last few years. Like, I guess I don't really know when community was started. I think it was called as Answers, but for the past few years, whenever I search something, I always encounter something on the community, and I find an answer, which is great. And majority of these questions that people ask, they also go unanswered because no one is actually interested in repeating themselves. Because sometimes people think like this question is probably not worth answering, not really worth their time, And that is also, to be honest, true in a way, sadly, for me. I'll be honest. If I know that, okay, I know the answer. I mean, to be honest, I don't really differentiate when it comes to questions. I try to answer whenever I can. But imagine that if I have, like, let us say 10 minutes every day, or maybe half an hour, let us say half an hour, and I can probably reply 2 or 3 questions. Sometimes the answers are more about, okay, this can be done, yes or no, or maybe we can point them to the right direction. But if the question is really vague, or if the question is really high level, then it is of course a bit difficult. And usually people tend to skip those questions because you need to be a bit more specific. You need to basically show that you have done your research when it comes to even asking questions. For example, if you're trying to understand whether this can be done using REST API, and for example, issue using, okay, it's for Opsgenie, which I don't massively use. But let us say you're trying to do something with REST API, and you know that it is not really working as you think. But you don't need to ask a question, right? Because you can ask a question, but there is already this API documentation, API reference, where you can go and search for those possibilities. And if you're not really sure, because when you're using REST API, you have to basically make a couple of calls to understand what you're looking for, because one call will probably not give you each and everything. You have to probably use a couple of REST endpoints to get all the information that you need, and of course write your own logic in your own code to get the answer. But there might not be just one API call for doing exactly what you're looking for. And that is where the problem is, because people ask questions without doing their homework, without searching online, without going through the API documentation, or even the API, or even the documentation in general. It could be the documentation, Atlassian documentation, or it could be just the questions on the community. For example, if you open any of the Atlassian community question, you will find, of course, these tags, and there is, of course, this question here. But on the right hand side, you will also find similar or related community content that will probably give you a bit more idea. And you can also see here that whenever someone is asking question, based on the question, you can in a way figure out the level of work, or the homework, I should say, the person has done before asking the question. So my recommendation is that please, before you ask questions, make it easy for the other person to answer you, right? The other person should not have to spend maybe more than few minutes to answer your question if you're asking for a script. Now, you will be lucky if someone can actually write a script exactly for doing what you're expecting, your script of whatever you're expecting to do with the automation, because I get requests for these scripts quite a lot. Now, to be honest, it is, of course, when you don't expect anyone else to do your work, number one. If you show them that, okay, you have written this script, it is working fine, but maybe you're probably stuck, or maybe you're not able to do something. Sometimes people, they simply copy and paste a script and they say it is not working. That is it, without explaining a bit more about what they have done so far. And to be honest, even to read the script, it is not always possible to just give you a straightforward answer. So I think if you're asking a question, then please try to be more specific. First explain what you're trying to do, what you have done, and what is the outcome that you're expecting. And then, of course, the person who is reading the question, it will be super easy for them to give you some directions. And I think you should expect directions, not complete solutions, because people are busy, people are professionals, and everyone is a professional, right? People who are using Jira, I guess they're doing some work in real life. So it is a bit too much to expect others to do your job. And that is all. I know it's a bit, I'm complaining today, but I think it is my right or my duty to tell you or to request you to get the most out of the community, but at the same time try to be a bit more try to elaborate what you're looking for and be very specific to what you need to do. All right, that is all I wanted to talk about today. I hope you enjoyed watching this video and you learned something new today. Thank you very much. Bye bye.